Pritham to please speak for a few minutes. Pritham.
Thank you so much, Amita, for introducing me and for bringing me up here. Okay, so how many of you have heard of sex trafficking? Can I just have a show of hands? Wow, a lot of you all, okay. So I'm going to start with the story of Pooja. Pooja was very young when her parents passed away, and her uncle... Sorry.
You can remove it.
Can I remove it?
Yeah.
Yeah, is this better? Okay, sorry. So Pooja was fairly young when her parents passed away, and her uncle and aunt took care of her afterwards. So when she was 16, she went to Bangalore to look for a job. Spent the entire day in Bangalore. She couldn't find anything. She was exhausted. She took a bus back to Mysore, where she was from. And on the way, there was a man who sat next to her. He looked at her and he said, "You look exhausted. Why don't you have some juice?" She had the juice. And the next thing she knew, she woke up in Kamatipura in Mumbai's red light district. She's beaten up. She's tortured, right? She had no idea where she was. She was completely disoriented. She didn't know the people there. She didn't know the language. She didn't know what she was doing there. And in that setting, she got raped that day 20 times by 20 different men. And this happened to her every single day for 5 years. There are 2 million women today in India who are trafficked, just like Pooja. Every year, 100,000 more people get trafficked, right? This is what sex trafficking is. So in Pooja's case, she was fairly lucky, or relatively lucky. About 5 years after she got trafficked, there was a Kannada man who used her services, and she told him what happened to her. So he went and complained to the police and got her rescued, right? And she got rescued and got sent to a rescue home. Now, this is the story of sex trafficking many people hear about. The part they don't hear about is what happens to her afterwards. So if you look at people like Pooja, people who've been rescued from trafficking, the challenge is you can't send them back home, because quite often they're sold by their own parents. It's fathers who are alcoholics, fathers who want to sell their daughters to make money to gamble, for addiction. It's mothers who sell their daughters because they want to feed their sons, right? Because sons are more important than daughters. And this is the face of poverty today in our country, right? This is what happens. So we can't send them back to their families. No one wants to give them jobs because of all the stigma attached, right? They have no options. So what happens to these people? They go to rescue homes run by the government or government-aided homes. They're locked there 24/7. They can't meet, they can't interact with the outside world, they can't get a job, they just have no hope for life. That's it. Their lives have just come to a standstill. It's almost like jail, right? They have nowhere to go. And so that's the situation we saw. That's what we saw in India, and we said, how do we go and fix this? And so I started an organization called Threads of Freedom, and what we do is we focus on providing jobs to trafficking survivors. We said once we get them jobs, once they earn a living, right, they can start their own houses, they can move out, they have hope for a new life, and they can do what they want to. And so the way we do it is something very innovative. We're the first in the world to do this. I need my hands for that, sorry. So, all right. So we basically work with garment factories and fashion brands. And what we do is we get the garment factories to employ our girls, employ trafficking survivors, and we get orders from these fashion brands. These orders are then passed on to the factories to incentivize them to employ more and more beneficiaries, right? So I'm going to explain that again because I know it's a little complicated. So what we do is we reach out to companies and say, give us orders for t-shirts or shirts or clothing, any kind of clothing, uniforms, and pass those on to factories, to garment factories. These are certified garment factories. And we say, now employ our beneficiaries, employ these trafficking survivors, right? And we put a bunch of conditions on them. We say, you've got to give them monthly salaries of so much. You've got to have clean working conditions, clean bathrooms and whatnot. And so because they have an incentive of getting orders, they work with us. And so what we've created is a win-win situation for everyone, right? Fashion brands have a great story to tell their clients. Factories are getting orders. And the most important group, the trafficking survivors, are getting jobs out of this. So far in India, we worked with some of India's biggest brands, including Van Heusen and Louis Philippe. In Dubai, we worked with a couple of companies, Al Nabuda and Tamil FM, right? And we have a presence in 2 cities in India, in Bangalore and Bombay. And today in Bangalore, we've reintegrated every single trafficking survivor there is. And we're working in Bombay, and our goal is to expand to every city in India and across the world to countries like Bangladesh and Cambodia, where trafficking is a huge issue. So these are just some quotes from some of our survivors who are part of our program. So Bharti said this is a rebirth that she had never dreamt in her life. And Priya said she feels free, like she's been let out of prison. And to clarify, she's comparing this to the rescue home, not to the brothel she was in. So what happened to Pooja? Pooja was HIV positive when she came to us. We got her a job at one of our partner garment factories. But because she was HIV positive, she couldn't work long hours, and so we had to get the factory, so the factory made concessions for her to work shorter hours and to take breaks when she needed to. So because she was HIV positive, we had to also take her to the hospital to get checkups every month. And during one of the trips, she actually met another HIV positive man, and they both eventually fell in love and got married. And today, Pooja continues to work there and lives with this man, and they have a very happy life together, even though both of them are HIV positive. Okay. And I'm going to finish the talk with a video. If you can just play a video. Thank you guys so much.